Hello everyone, welcome back to Transfer Weekly, this episode 2 of Season 2. My name's Chris McCarthy, your host. Very excited this week to be joined by a driver representing both Alpine and Mahindra, and a man who has joined me in the commentary box in Formula 3 as well. You'll recognise him both on track and his voice, Jordan King. Welcome to the show. Great to have you with us, Jordan. Thank you for joining us. Your first time on the show as well. What's it been like for you this year? Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to this season.
Yeah, I had a really busy year so far. Not managed actually to cross paths with you in the commentary box because I've been so busy. But yeah, big commitments with Mahindra and Alpine, and then some extra driving, some extra coaching. Yeah, flying around the world as much as possible.
Before we do get started with the show as normal, of course, we're going to be covering transfers from Formula 2 F1 Academy and talking a bit about some F1 Academy in terms of F1 junior team stuff as well. Just want to send our condolences to the family of Jake Cook as well. It was announced GB3 Championship put out a message on their social media that Jake Cook, who raced in the likes of Formula 4, BRDC, F4 as well, had sadly passed away this week. So our condolences to his family and to all his friends and loved ones. He was a BRDC Rising Star and MSA Young Driver of the Year as well. So we send all our condolences to his friends and family at this time. Now, let's go into the rest of the show. We're going to kick off this time by actually hearing from a driver of the show. The first person that we're going to go to, the first transfer that we're going to go to, is a Formula 2 transfer. A big news coming out this week is that the latest Formula 2 driver was Joshua Duerksen signing to PHM Racing. He went straight up from the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine to sign with PHM Racing in Formula 2, becomes the first driver from Paraguay to go into the Formula 2 paddock. And earlier today, I caught up with him to hear about his thoughts.
Yeah, hi Chris. It's a pleasure for me to be part of the show. Yeah, I'm on my way to do some prep and to get the notification, to get the information that it all worked well to race F2 next year was just a crazy opportunity. I mean, it was an opportunity which I had to take with my both hands because not every day you can drive an F2 car and get this opportunity. So of course I was really happy, really excited. I mean, I was the whole day just thinking about that. I was just the smile of my face just couldn't go away. You know, I was just so happy for this chance. And yeah, of course, new F2 car next year. That of course it's gonna make the racing a bit more interesting as well, I think, because it's a new car, so the teams have to adapt to the new car and develop the car. So of course it's going to be a really interesting season.
Yeah, but obviously we know each other very well from FRECA, from the last 2 seasons as well. And you're making history jumping up to F2 as well. The first ever driver from your country, from Paraguay, to go and race in what I think is going to be the F1 paddock in total. So tell us how that response has been from back home as well. Have you had a lot of support?
Well, like the response was massive, like really massive. My phone just didn't stop with the notifications. You know, I mean the Paraguayan people are just getting crazy with the information. I mean, it's really historical in the Paraguayan motorsport, and I'm really excited and really happy and to have this privilege to be me. You know, and like I said, I was the whole day my phone just never stopped. It was a really big thing down there in Paraguay.
Let's quickly look ahead to next season then. Of course, as well as driving that car, you're going to get a chance to visit some new tracks with FRECA. We go to a lot of those F1 tracks, but there's some new ones which we don't go to. One of them being the one you're going to do the postseason test at, Abu Dhabi. But the likes of Jeddah as well, Saudi Arabia, Baku, Bahrain. Which ones is it that stick out to you the most? Which ones are you most excited to go to?
Well, I mean, all of them, definitely, because I love every track. I mean, I love every new track I drive, but especially I don't know why I really like Melbourne because I don't know, I always remember playing it on the PlayStation, you know, on the F1 game. It was always like before it was always the first race of the season, you know, and playing career mode was always Melbourne, and I don't know why I just really liked it. But as well, I'm really looking forward to Qatar because it's such a fast track, and I love fast corners. So it's definitely gonna be an interesting track. And overall, I love every track.
Yeah, of course, you did put the Paraguay flag in the F1 paddock before at Monaco, wasn't it? When you did your first FRECA season. So tell us how that experience was being in the F1 paddock, and how excited you are now to be elevated back in there. But you know, you're in now the Premier Feeder Series category as well.
Oh yeah, it's always exciting to be with the F1 together. Now I mean, Monaco was a bit different and special at the same time, because of course, actually our paddock was not even in Monaco, it was in France, you know, and we were like 2 kilometers away from the actual pit lane or the racetrack. Like we had to go through the streets from France with the cars, you know. But it's always amazing, you know. I was as well when I raced F4 in the German F4. We were as well once with the F1 together in Hockenheim. And you know, it's just amazing. It's just crazy, you know, because me as a driver, you know, it's always a dream to be in the F1 paddock and to be like that close in the same weekend together, to have, I don't know, the atmosphere of F1. It's just crazy. It's just amazing. And now to know that I will have those feelings every race weekend I will do for the next 14 rounds, it's just mind-blowing.
Thank you very much for joining us on Transfer Weekly, Joshua. Don't be a stranger. Come back and join us on Feeder Series soon.
See you soon.
So that's Joshua Duerksen speaking to him as he was getting ready to board a flight going to go straight over to PHM Racing. Great to chat to Joshua Duerksen. Jordan, someone who has raced in FRECA now for the last 2 years. That's 2 drivers we have now who have jumped straight into Formula 2 next year. Joshua Duerksen being one of them, and then reigning champion Andrea Kimi Antonelli being another. Formula 2 has a new car coming out next year, and maybe this could be a reason why we're seeing drivers almost skip F3 and go straight into Formula 2. I wondered if you'd had a chance to have a look at the car yourself, and any thoughts on it as a former racer in the championship?
Well, I think the first thing, jumping that big a step from regional to F2 is, it's tough. It's a big jump without kind of any step in between. But you know, we've seen bigger and bolder moves in the past. But yeah, it seems quite a brave one. I didn't actually think it was possible with how the license or rules are written, especially within Motorsport UK. So maybe there's a bit of dispensation going on there for the drivers. But all bets are off for next year, as you say, with the new car. So who kind of knows where it will end up? It's gone down, obviously, the philosophy of F1, as it always does a few years after Formula 2. But I'm sure you'll see the normal strong teams at the front and the normal strong drivers at the front. But who knows what it will hold?
Yeah, I mean, he becomes the first driver, as I said, from Paraguay to race at this level. He's going to be having pretty much the whole country behind him. Someone who has worked, he spoke about in his interview, someone who's worked very hard to get to this level as well. He's had a lot of hard work from getting sponsorship. He was a UAE F4 vice champion. He got on the podium in FRECA as well, and put in 2 very memorable performances actually at Zandvoort, where he gained 17 places on both visits that we went there. But nevertheless, a very big step, and going in as a driver, making history like that with the whole country behind him, that's going to be a lot of pressure on his shoulders, isn't it?
I mean, I never had that being from the UK. There's been plenty before me, and there'll be plenty after me. So I can't comment from experience. But to be honest, once you put your helmet on, you don't think about any of those things. You know, that's for you to speak about in the media and make it sound bigger and better than it probably is to him when he's driving. He's going to focus on just being as fast as he can and getting the results, not he's doing it for the country, you know.
Yeah, tell us what it's like when you first go into the F1 paddock. You've done it yourself. How is that as a driver coming from racing in the other support paddocks? What's the difference like when you jump into the F1 paddock, having done that yourself?
I mean, this sport's a very small world anyway. So, racing's racing, teams are teams, and, cars are cars, without trying to state the obvious. But once you get to F1, there's a bit more glitz and glamour. It's easy to get caught up in it, and, you want to be in that paddock and meet the right people and everything. But at the end of the day, it's still racing. It's still at a circuit with some tarmac and some tyres on your race car that you've got to perform. You've got to do well. If you don't, it's it's a cutthroat sport.
Well, let's go into another driver who's going to be entering the F1 paddock for the first time next year. We have our second driver announced for F1 Academy next year, and that is Lia Block, who signs to ART Grand Prix, and she is going to be the driver representing the Williams Formula One team as well. She's been signed to the Williams Driver Academy. She's the daughter of the late Ken Block as well, who, of course, sadly, tragically passed away earlier in January as well. Just 17 years old, Jordan has raced in the likes of Rally, Extreme E, Rallycross as well, made history becoming the youngest American Rally Association champion as well. So she's already achieved some things, hasn't she? And wanting to carry on her father's legacy and definitely going to be doing that, jumping into quite a big championship here in F1 Academy.
Yeah, she's probably coming with quite a lot of tools within her arsenal, racing in those different categories, car control, driver skill. So, hopefully she's developed quite far. But it's interesting that, another kind of rally father has taken their children down the circuit racing route. There's Stig Blomqvist, Carlos Sainz Senior. So even we've got Jack Doohan, with Mick Doohan from bikes. So it seems to be that everyone's coming down the car route and trying to get to F1 with the kind of the great and the good that the show's become in the last few years. So it should be exciting. It's going to be a big challenge because it's completely different to what she's done before. So it's be a good one to watch out for.
Yeah, do you think the fact that F1 Academy, it does come with extended track time, doesn't it, on race weekends? Do you think that will help her? I mean, she's only very young into her race career. Do you think that'll help her maybe get up to speed? Of course, F1 Academy using kind of F4 cars as well. Do you think that'll help her jump in and get up to speed, or is this going to be a bit of a tough challenge?
It's going to be a hard challenge. Learning your trade on a race weekend is the wrong way to do it. You need track time, you need testing, you need days in the car. F1 Academy, it's got many great things about it, but you've got to get lots of testing in over the winter. Have a good testing program, especially if you're making a change or stepping up, you're coming from different racing backgrounds. You don't want to learn your trade on the job, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously got the F4 championships that race in the Middle East as well. Do you think something like that could be a good way to start for someone like Lia Block to prepare for F1 Academy?
Formula 4, there's hundreds of teams around the world that have cars. There's Indian Championship, UAE Championship. There's everything in America. There's stuff in the Middle East and Asia. You can get time in a car. It's just a matter of kind of willpower, I suppose, and finances behind it. So best of luck. I hope she's well prepared.
Okay, now that's really where our transfers end, actually. So one thing we are going to speak about is someone who has managed to get some F1 backing, and that is Ollie Goethe, who's been signed to the Red Bull Junior team. He's currently over racing at the Macau Grand Prix, and what a livery that they have for that. Ollie Goethe, who, of course, when we commentated together at Spa in 2022, was racing with Campos Racing, Jordan, and had that huge crash coming through Blanchimont, I think it was, and then came back to finish P4 the next day. Had a good season this year, finishing in the top 10 in the championship with a win at Silverstone. Now the backing of the Red Bull Junior team was very quick in testing as well, fastest at Barcelona. Now the backing of the Red Bull Junior team, looking like he's going to be going for the title in F3 next year, although his seat yet to be fully confirmed.
Yeah, I'm a little bit lost on where Red Bull are at with their junior team, junior program. We know they change quite regularly, but this year seems to be a big switch up. Out of all of their drivers, I can't remember which ones have remained and which ones have come on. So probably need to switch on to the first race of the year and see who's in Red Bull livery, really, to keep up with that story.
Yeah, because one that's now gone as well is Jack Crawford. He announced that he's parted ways with Red Bull, but has confirmed his F2 return. He did release a statement saying that we are wanting to make key decisions and we let them know mid-year. After that, they didn't pick up my 5th and final year, so we are now in control. In 2 years, I will only be 20 years old, so we are going to slow it down and work a more thoughtful plan. So an interesting decision from Jack Crawford, Jordan. He's said he's coming back to F2, but doesn't want the support of the Red Bull Junior team with him. Seems that they've made that decision to part ways. I don't know if you have many thoughts on that one. I mean, they've taken him quite a long way, or helped him get quite a long way up the road, but a bit of a difficult first season for him so far. But I guess now he's felt that he can go the rest of the way with maybe without their support, or it's been a bit of a mutual decision.
Yeah, I don't know which one's the chicken and the egg there with that decision, whether it was his or Red Bull's, and the statement goes one way, but as he pointed out, he's still young, and I think quite, I suppose, maturely with that statement, he said, I'm now in control. Red Bull maybe rushed him through the last 4 years, and he got him to F2 still in his teen years, and actually he's probably looking forward to having a bit more kind of control. It's like, stop, take a breath, think about it. We don't need to just dive all the way up to F1 straight away. Okay, he's now in F2. He can't go back and go again, so he's got to make the best of it. But he does still have time on his hands to develop. So if he can develop himself nicely over the next couple of years, he'll still be in a strong place.
Yeah, well said, well said. Let's just move on then with the rest. We're going to end by talking about Macau, but very quickly, we had champions confirmed in Esteban Masson and TFL Nail. I hope I'm saying that right. Euro Cup 3 and Spanish F4 champions. Also, Spanish F4 teams announced for next year, which included, Jordan, interestingly enough, new teams as well, one of which was a new team, TC Racing in Spanish F4, founded by Thibaut Courtois and Roberto Meri as well. Not the first time we're seeing sports stars getting behind race teams. Of course, we're seeing it with Alpine as well. They had some sports backing coming into their team. Thibaut Courtois, of course, Real Madrid goalkeeper, big into his sim racing. Good to see Roberto Meri, Thibaut Courtois backing the junior drivers there at the very earliest level of their careers as well in F4. I think that was quite a cool story to see.
Yeah, well, motorsport's expensive. And, other sports stars know what it takes to get there, and the guys that have made it to the top have a lot of money. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If they can produce a great team and help develop drivers at early stage, then all for it.
Good stuff. All right, let's just quickly run through the rest. Amna and Hamda are basically going to be at the UAE F4 trophy. They were racing in F1 Academy. Deegan Fairclough, very impressive first year in British F4. He's going over to High Tech, and Woo Hyun Shin, or Michael Shin, as many of you know him, is joining M2 competition for Formula Regional Oceania, which some of you will know as Toyota Racing Series. We had the Macau F4 race at the weekend. We'll quickly sum this up now. That was won by Arvid Lindblad. Big congratulations to him and Prema. He drove an absolute fantastic race. Consolation to Freddie Slater, who appeared to hit some issues during the way. But we also have, just as before we recorded this, qualifying for the Macau Grand Prix as well. Just going to pull up the results as I'm saying this. Luke Browning taking pole position. British drivers have been the most successful there over the years, Jordan, and Luke Browning trying to continue that. He took pole by 6 thousandths of a second from Gabriele Mini. Dino Beganovic, IndyCar driver Marcus Armstrong up in there in the top 5 as well. Alex Dunn, P6 on his debut, and F4 driver Ugo Chukwu, 9th place as well. Who are you fancying looking at that grid list as we see the combined order for the race?
Well, it's Macau. It's the gambling city of the world, and I think it's the gambling race of the world. It's hard to bet against everyone who's starting at the front, but I've raced there. I've raced through from the back and had a great result. I've qualified at the front and had a bad result. So it can go anyway. The field, you just flick through, you see some of the names. There's some really, really strong names on there. As you said, qualifying, there's been some red flags, some yellow flags. So I know there's a few people out of place who are on good laps and finished the lap. So plenty of pace throughout the field. And you've got the best part of 10,000 kilometers straight up to turn 3 and 4. Yeah. So there'll be plenty of overtaking, side by side action. So definitely worth waking up early to tune into that one.
And tell us what it's like to race at and to be at, just as a driver, the whole atmosphere of the event. It's one of those bucket list events, I'm sure, as a racing driver, and getting to do it must have been a fantastic experience.
As a race circuit, a bit of tarmac that it is, there's not many around the world that even come close, to be honest. I wouldn't say even compete, come close. First sector is just a long straight line, but then you go up into the mountains. And when I drove it, it was in the old Formula 3 car with the sequential gear stick. That was fun, difficult, scary, exciting. All of them in one go, having to take a hand off a wheel while you bounce kind of between wall to wall, and quite literally bounce between wall to wall. If you finished the session and you didn't have little rubber marks on the end of your end plates or tires, you weren't close enough. It's just fantastic. But everyone wants it as well. Everyone turns up excited. Mechanics turn up excited. The team turn up excited. You turn up excited. Everyone there is excited. For a lot of people, it's the first time going to even just a place like that. When you get the ferry over from from Hong Kong, and you just see these big buildings full of, it's daylight in the middle of the night. As you probably see in Vegas, it's a similar feel when you watch that in F1. It's middle of the night, but it's daylight, with how much street lights and neon signs there are. So it's an exciting race to do, and the party afterwards quite good as well. That was always a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine that the hairpin that they come down to must be quite a corner just to come down there. It's one of the most famous pictures, isn't it, in feeder series racing, when you see the drivers coming down into the hairpin. It just is a superb.
It always annoyed me because it's a constant yellow flag at the hairpin.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
because it's so hard to get round. It's that tight that two cars would struggle. So they just say yellow flag. You can't overtake there.
Yeah,
but it would be so easy to overtake there because you're going so slow and you all stack up.
Yeah,
hence why they stopped it, because there was just always crashes. If you haven't seen it, go onto YouTube or whatever website, and think it would have been about 2019, maybe 2018. Might even been, but we're getting old, so it might be earlier than that. Watch the last couple of laps where it was Sergio Sette Camara in
2017.
17. There you go. I am getting.
Yeah.
And just watch the last 2 laps of that, and that sums up Macau. That's all you've got to know. Joy, heartbreak, tears, excitement.
Yeah.
I think you've done. It's just got it all, because it's a one-off race. It's one of the only other. I think it's Macau and the New Zealand Grand Prix, the only 2 Grand Prix that aren't F1 races. So it's a big event from that. It's the excitement from yesteryear. It's one of these old gems that still exists, that by all recollection shouldn't exist in the modern world, but it's still there. It's one of these great things.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, look forward to tuning in. Of course, feeder series will be posted, are actually over there. Michael McClure's over there, so do keep an eye out for his articles and updates post event as well. But Jordan, thanks very much for joining us in what is I know a very busy season for you, and all the best for the rest of the season as well. And don't be a stranger to the show. Definitely come back and join us again very, very soon.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this has been Transfer Weekly, episode 2. We will be back same time again next week for episode 3. For now, though, it's goodbye.